Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys how to stream chart equity data from the Trader API and also how to schedule it in the background so that the streamer can start automatically. We have 3 scripts involved. The one that we're going to be scheduling is this very last one. So if we maximize the console here, we see that the script is running in the background and all it's printing is the connection status and the current time. So I have this on a loop, and this particular script is going to reference these other two. But if we go over this one that we're going to be scheduling, we're going to start off by sourcing all of our functions related to the streamer, which we will go over in just a bit. And since we're going to be scheduling this Monday through Friday, I need to check whether or not the current day is an actual trading day. So that's the check here in line 12. Otherwise, if it's not a current business day, it's just going to print out not a trading day and then the script ends. But if it is a current trading day, it's going to check if there's a folder where we can dump all of our streaming messages into called mb_dump. Now you can rename this however you want. So this folder will be in your working directory and it's going to save the messages by timestamp. So we have some messages coming in. Now we need to pass in a URL for this WebSocket to establish a connection with the Trader API streamer, which can be found in streamer info. Now the streamer info can be found in the second script. So that's why we source all of our functions in line 1. So once we establish that, we need to set what happens every time we receive a message from the streamer. And as I showed you, we're just going to be saving those messages into our folder we set in line 14. Now we also need to send our login JSON block and our logout JSON block when we run on open and on close, which can be found in the second script. Now also in the second script, we have instructions to create JSON blocks to let the streamer know what symbols we want to receive data for, and we want to subscribe to the streamer. So this will build the JSON blocks needed. After we run that line, it's going to pause for a bit and check the state of the streamer, and if the status is 1, meaning that we're connected, it's going to go ahead and print that ready state and send our JSON blocks for the data that we want to receive. Now you're going to notice that throughout the script I use this run now from the later package, and all that does is sort of like a flush for the code. And here in this while loop, so long as the current time is less than the end timestamp and the current status of the streamer is 1, we're just going to print out that message. If we didn't have that block, it'll just run through the code and close the streamer. So we need to have some sort of loop to prevent the streamer to end, since we're going to be scheduling this. After we exit this while loop, we're going to check our ready state and make sure that it's still equal to 1, meaning that it's connected. Now if it is, we don't need the streamer anymore, so we're just going to shut it down, which is going to close our connection, and we're going to stop receiving messages. As I mentioned, this is the script we're going to be scheduling, or if you just want to run it in the background, it'll work. Now in the second script, we have functions pertaining to the streamer, and in the script we start off by setting our working directory, requiring some packages, loading up our Trader API functions. And what we need from the Trader API functions is this new function to get our user preferences. So if we look at the Trader API functions, this serves as kind of like a package. So every time I load this up, it's going to load up our current access token. So if we go to user preferences and we open up this function, we have no parameters. We just need to pass in this URL, check our access token, submit a GET request, and if our status code is 200, we need to extract the content, which are just the accounts you have access to via the API, the streamer info, and the offers. Otherwise, it's just going to print out an error. So this is the function that we need in the second script in line 16. So all the information pertaining to the streamer will get saved in streamer info, and as you see, we use it quite a bit. In order to log in, we need to create a JSON block where we pass in a random number for the request ID. Our service will be admin, the command will be login, the customer ID and the Coral ID can be found in streamer info. We also need to pass in our access token, which this loads up when you run the Trader API functions. The channel and the function ID can be found in streamer info, and alternatively to log out is essentially the same thing, except that we don't need to pass in any parameters, and the command is just to log out. Now to build the JSON block for the chart equity stream, we're going to go to cs_stream chart equity, and for this particular function we just need to pass in the symbols or symbol and our command, so we can subscribe, unsubscribe, add, and view. And if we open up this function, we're going to do a check whether or not the user passed in one symbol or multiple. As for multiple, we need to separate these by a comma, all in a single character vector. Next, we're going to build our JSON block, which again just involves passing in a random number for the request ID. The service will be chart equity. The command gets passed in by the user. Customer ID and Coral ID can be found in streamer info. We're going to pass in our symbols that we're requesting data for, and then the fields, which by default are just going to be all 9. And if we take a look at the documentation here for chart equity, we scroll down to the fields. These are all the 9. So by default, it's going to return all of them. And after we have built our JSON block, that's what gets returned. So we need to pass that into our streamer. Now to get the data out, since we're just saving these in a folder, we need another function with no no parameters. Now in here, we're going to list all of our files inside the folder that we are dumping our messages into. And for all the files, we're going to do a check. So we're going to read each of the files in. If it doesn't have any data, it's going to go ahead and remove the file and return null. So this will ensure that all of the messages that have data are kept, which should hopefully speed up the process every time we run this function. So if there is data, we're going to extract the content and just reformat the column names. And we're also going to format the dates and times. So it'll do that for all of the messages and then just return it as a data frame. So I'm going to go ahead and run this function, and I'm going to rename the folder. So as a test here, we're just going to print out the last few messages we have data for, and we see that we have the sequence, the key, which is just the ticker, the sequence, the open, high, low, close, and volume, the timestamp, and then the day. And we see that we still have our streamer working in the background here. So at each minute, the streamer will return new data. So again, we need to have these two scripts set up before scheduling this third one, but that's pretty much all you have to do to get this to work. Now you can use the task scheduler if you're on Windows, or cron if you're using Mac, and just schedule the script to start at a certain time each day. But with that, guys, this concludes the video. I hope this was useful information. I'll leave a link down in the description area to my Patreon where you can find these scripts. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.